Hello, welcome to JIBRIN Angle on Oweleke TV. My name is JIBRIN, and this is my angle. Once again, we have a barrister Austin Manta, a very senior legal practitioner of over 40 years. When I say 40, I mean over 4 decades in legal practice. To actually discuss the matters of the moment, we have several topics to talk about today. I hope I don't know if the time will actually permit us, but however, let's see what we can do. Barrister, thank you once again for joining us today.
Thank you for having me here.
All right, let's go. Let me play this. Let's start with this. Let me play this video, and we'll talk about it thereafter.
Meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu also met with Labour Party's 2023 presidential candidate, Peter Obi, the former Ekiti State Governor. We'll just go on former Ekiti State Governor Dr. Kayode on Sunday at the installation mass of Pope Leo XIV. Now, the three Nigerian political figures who were in Rome for the high-profile religious event exchanged pleasantries in a brief but symbolic encounter that was made public by presidential spokesman Bayo Ononuga via a post on his verified X handle. Now, his tweet reads in part, was just from the second paragraph there. Fayemi cited President Tinubu where he sat with other leaders and asked Obi to follow him to pay homage to the Nigerian leader. Obi agreed. Now, on getting to the president, Fayemi broke the ice between Obi and Tinubu and said, "Mr. President, welcome to our church and thank you for honoring the Pope with your presence." At that moment, President Tinubu, ever quick-witted, responded, "I should be the one welcoming you and Peter. I am the head of the Nigerian delegation." The president's response cracked up Obi, who agreed with the president and said, "Yes, indeed, we are members of your delegation." Peter Obi and Fayemi are staunch Catholics and papal knights.
All right,
now, in a religious event, exchange pleasantries were in Rome for the high-profile religious event. Exchange pleasantries figures who were in Rome for the high-profile religious event. Exchange pleasantries in a brief but symbolic encounter that was made public.
Barrister, are you seeing these pictures clearly?
Yeah, very clear.
Okay. I'm trying to. There's a part I want to. One part of the picture. Okay. You see, we have Sheikh Tinubu here, the son of the president here. Can you see him?
Of course.
Yeah. Okay. So we have Peter Obi here. We have Kayode Fayemi, the former governor of Ekiti State. So we have Tinubu here. All right. Since you've seen it, let's talk about it. Let me take this off so that we can. All right. That was Rome. For those of you who I don't know, everyone for the trending news. Rome last 2 weeks was the place to be. Everyone literally wants to be there. One, I was surprised to see a Muslim president. I don't know what Bola Tinubu, he is a staunch Muslim. Okay, the wife is a Catholic, even though the wife is a Christian, but a Pentecostal Christian. She's a pastor. I don't even know why Tinubu was there in the first place, but that's not what we are talking about here. You can actually delve into that if you wish, but let's do it quickly. And yes, what do you see? What can you say about the pictures and the news you heard there? The interaction. I'm concerned about the interaction we had, the body language you saw in the picture. That they say pictures can speak pictures speaks in language. It gives when pictures can actually define the moment actually. So tell me, you saw it was like a cozy relationship. It was juxtapose it with what we have been, the life of an average politician and what we see we hear and we hear and watch on the news all the time, how oppositions, they bash each other, especially Peter Obi that have been so antagonistic of Tinubu's policies, government policies. Now here we are in Rome. Just look at it. Though they spend just barely few minutes together, but at the same time, the body language. What's your thought on that?
For that, in the aftermath of the meeting in the Vatican, a lot of comments have been put up there in the Nigerian press, online and elsewhere. I don't see anything extraordinary from that meeting or from the banters that were exchanged between the three principal characters that you see. Contrary to what a lot of people are saying, and even mentioning that President Tinubu is a Muslim, you have to remember that the Pope has two caps that he wears. He's the head of the Roman Catholic Church, and he's also the head of state of his country.
Yeah, Vatican, yeah.
Yeah, of the Vatican, which is a country of its own within Italy.
So why didn't he invite? There are so many Muslim nations, like Islamic nations, like the Middle East, that he's so close to. Why didn't? Well, they mean the Vatican is close to. Why didn't he invite them?
There are some Muslim countries that were invited. There were some Muslim head of state that were invited, apart from Nigeria. It is the Vatican has diplomatic missions in many states, including Nigeria. They have diplomats in Nigeria.
Oh, really?
On the level of state versus state relations. So they conduct state versus state relations. Even in the US, they have a diplomat, even though they don't call him ambassador. They call him the Papa Nuncio. That is the representative of the state. They have it even in the Middle East, in Middle East countries. So they run just like a state, even though they are extremely tiny. So it is in that context that you see the invitation to people like President Tinubu to go there. Then for Peter Obi, for Fayomi, as you heard, they are knights of the Catholic Church, which are high-ranking members of the church, and it is usual to invite.
Okay, now like the body language. You don't see anything wrong with the interaction, the body language, or whatever. The
this is not an occasion where you go and squeeze your face and show meanness or anything of that nature. That is not the occasion.
Or do you think? Sorry to cut short. Do you think that Peter Obi could have avoided meeting with him?
No. It will seem very foolish and childish to whatever you say, whatever disagreement you have with Tinubu outside the country. He is the president of Nigeria, de facto. Whether you don't recognize him or not, he is recognized outside the country and even by our legal system as the president. When you are outside the country in an occasion like this, auspicious occasion like this, that is not the time and place to show disharmony. It will show lack of maturity. You put aside your political differences at home.
All right.
And this is just greeting. I don't see anything beyond greetings and exchange of banter.
Anyway, yeah, okay, I agree with you. To do otherwise, it will actually connote childishness or whatever. But however, honestly, I have a slightly different take on that. When I watched that, because I saw Tinubu behind Peter Obi, he was all smiles all over his face or whatever. Everybody, these politicians, this Tinubu's government, they view Peter Obi as an enemy. So that coziness, Tinubu was behind Peter Obi there. Tinubu was in front. It was smiles all over the place. And honestly, if I were in Peter Obi's shoes, let me be frank with you. One, yes, politics, they say politics is about interest or whatever. But however, what is going on in Nigeria now is very personal to me. Like someone like me, it's very personal to me. You cannot be misruling, deliberately fleecing Nigerians and be looting our treasury and be ruling with maximum power and be doing things that portrays you as someone that is very insensitive, completely insensitive, blinded, deafened to the needs of the common men and women on the street. And you expect me to be, honestly, if I were in Peter Obi's shoes, honestly, call it childish. I don't care. I can be personal with people, with evil people. When it comes to evil people, I can be very personal with them, with that. Now, honestly, if I were Peter Obi, person like me, I will avoid meeting with him. If I meet with you, okay, I'll be compelled to say hi. There's no doubt about that. But honestly, I will stay off I won't go on the same route with him. After all, they didn't go on yes, Tinubu led the Nigerian delegation, but Peter Obi was not on the same flight with him. So they came on a different flight. So why do I have to pretend to be under his delegation? Like you said, Peter Obi is a knight, a staunch Catholic, a very strong knight at that, a sort of. So anyway, that is my take. Honestly, I agree with you. This issue of okay, Vatican is a nation on its own. It's an independent, sovereign entity. There's no doubt. But I didn't know actually they have embassies all over the place. I didn't know until now. It's sort of okay, that's understandable. But on the political angle, honestly, what Bola Tinubu is doing to Nigerians, to us, I am telling you, if I were in Peter Obi's shoe, I don't care, call it childish or not. It is personal to me, because you can't be an evil person, evil man, and expect me to cozy up with you in the public, to pretend. This is why I hate diplomacy. This is why I hate democracy, because democracy is all about diplomacy. I hate it because you cannot be suffering and be smiling because you want the public, you want to give the public a different impression of what is going on. How about, come on.
Chip in and say that there is a time and a place for everything. This was a joyous occasion. This was not the time or the place to express enmity or to show this thing. Exchanging ordinary banters and pleasantries does not detract from it. Actually shows maturity. And like you said, these actors, these political actors are supposed to be diplomatic at that occasion, not any other place. If they are debating in Nigeria, if they are back home in Nigeria, or some other occasion is antagonistic, let me just land. It is acceptable.
Barris, I'm sorry, we don't have the time.
Between the U.S. president and Russia president, despite their enmity, have always been extremely cordial. And lastly, people have criticized the presence of Sheikh Tinubu. I don't see anything wrong. In the international diplomacy, presidents travel with their children. Always. The U.S. president travel with their children to countries.
I don't see anything wrong in that, yeah. Don't mean me, I don't see anything wrong.
But back home on the social media, there was a lot of criticism that
I don't see anything. You can try. What are you talking about?
I just want to clarify that.
No, I don't see anything wrong with president traveling with his son. There are so many presidents, like Donald Trump during his first time was traveling with his daughter or whatever. Yes. So I don't see anything there. It's a family thing. What's wrong? I can take my son or my daughter along if I'm
exactly.
That's just it anyway.
Those who are criticizing,
I don't see anything wrong there. Absolutely nothing
wrong with that.
Honestly, nothing. I agree with you on that.